Tetairoa McMillan is crazy. If you don't know who that is, you should, because he's probably the first wide receiver taken in the 2025 NFL draft. Luther Burden is great. It could be him. Somebody else could emerge. Boy, Tetairoa McMillan is good. he's really, really good. So Arizona beats New Mexico. Picked to finish last in the Mountain West this year. Poor New Mexico. They come into the season with a win total of 1.5 originally. It gets bumped up to 2.5, and they're 0-2 with a loss to an FCS team. So they're a 2-touchdown underdog to Montana State week 1 at home. They blow a 17-point lead late in the second half. And then what do you know? They go to Arizona, and at one point late in the second quarter, they're winning against the number 21 team in the country. And they are threatening a Big 12 championship contender. I'll talk about Oklahoma State after we touch base on the Wildcats here. I was down on Arizona coming into this year for a couple of reasons. Compared to others' expectations. Like, I had on Max Chadwick of Pro Football Focus. He thinks Arizona's winning the Big 12. And there went my light. My light fell down, and hopefully it'll stay up for the remainder of this segment for those on YouTube. And I'm going to hopefully fix that later. But hopefully you can bear with me here through all of that rather than doing a choppy edit and such. We roll with the flow. Some people think Arizona can win the Big 12. And my takeaway was they have a quarterback and they have a receiver. And we saw that in game 1. Noah Fifita was great. Tetairoa McMillan's awesome. I already knew those things. It's the things I didn't know that I need answers to before I can feel confident in the Wildcats. And week 1, which is not defining anybody's season, but is a step along the path towards completing this year, of course, wasn't a great first entry. You gave up 39 points to a bottom-tier Mountain West team. New Mexico may very well win 3 or 4 games this year and surpass the expectations set according to our friends over at FanDuel. That looks entirely possible. They hired a veteran coach. Bronco Mendenhall has had a successful coaching run in college football. They might be better than that. However, they also still lost the game to an FCS team last week in week 0. So they're obviously not ready to be where they might be able to get to one day. And they went into Tucson and they were pushing you in the first half. All right, that happens. But should you ever look up if you're a Big 12 championship contender and give up 39 points at home? At home? Now, as I said, it's one data point. But it's a data point I'm going to follow because that has to improve. USC learned last year in the Pac-12, you can't just outscore everybody. You have to play a little bit of defense. It was week 1. But the questions I had were, what is the team actually like outside of Noah Fifita and Tetairoa McMillan? And what is the coaching staff like? How do they match up against the other great coaching staffs in the Big 12? Arizona's schedule is not that easy. It's not impossible, but it's certainly not a cakewalk of a schedule. They play Kansas State on a Friday night. I don't remember if that game is next week, Friday, September 13th. So not this coming Saturday. They have Northern Arizona. Then they take on Kansas State and Manhattan. We're going to learn a lot right there because the first step, not impressed with Arizona. They put up 61 points. Congratulations. You're going to have other teams who won't let you score 61 that could also score 39 or more if New Mexico can do it. So that has to improve. Now, it's week 1. It's a long season. There's time to make a change, but a change has to be made. And I was not impressed with Arizona in week 1. They weren't the only conference title contender I wasn't impressed with, but certainly they were one that I had my eye on before the year. I don't know if this is what everyone wants it to be or thinks it's going to be. Conversely, Oklahoma State, in a less high-profile way, played a really good football game. So they played the 2-time reigning national champions at the FCS level, the Jackrabbits of South Dakota State. They promptly squashed them like a bug and looked quite good playing at home week 1. Whereas a year ago, South Alabama went in there, average group of 5 team, and they blitzed them. They blasted them. But they played well in this game. And it's not going to be something that gets thrown around online as much or discussed quite as often, but it's the same catch-22 as Colorado had week 1 playing North Dakota State on Thursday. Well, you played an FCS team. You did this. How many people were saying, better watch out for South Dakota State? I was. You know why? Because it's a high-level FCS program, a.k.a. about a mid-tier group of 5 or Power 4 conference, depending on which league you're talking about. You put South Dakota State in the Big 12 right now, they're not finishing last. They're not finishing last. They're not going to be what Houston is going to be this year, which, gosh almighty, could that be an 0-12 football team? I don't know. That was not a good start for Willie Fritz and company to get blitzed by UNLV. Now, I predicted that to happen, so I'm not all that surprised. I'm not sounding the alarm bell for the Cougars down there in the Big 12, but if you put this South Dakota State team or this North Dakota State team in the Big 12, would they finish last? I don't think so. They might be fighting for bowl eligibility, but going into a game against a team like this, if I'm raising the alarm of, hey, you better be careful or South Dakota State might get you, and then you blow them out, I don't then flip around and say, oh, well, it's an FCS team. It's that you're supposed to do. No, I did not have a score prediction for that game that I aired here on the show, admittedly, but Oklahoma State impressed me far more than Arizona. And I've been down on both of those teams relative to the expectations that some people have for them, because a lot of people look at them as conference title contenders. I don't see Oklahoma State that way, and I don't see Arizona that way. My Big 12 championship prediction pick is Utah and Kansas. And Utah, frankly, speaking of the Big 12, didn't wow me. They won the game against Southern Utah 49-0. Cam Rising's rusty. Which is, again, understandable. He hasn't played college football in 1 year and 9 months or so. He's a little rusty. He put up really good numbers. Guys were running wide open. Guys were running wide open. When they weren't wide open, Cam Rising wasn't quite himself. He could get there. The rest of Utah looks like Utah. That's to be expected. Really, really good on defense. Did they play through for 4 quarters the way the Big 12 championship favorites should play? No, they did not. It's only week 1. All this excitement, all these takeaways, and it's still only week 1. It's a data point. It's not the whole set. We're going to get more information about these teams and have a better idea of how the conference championship landscape will play out. But Oklahoma State impressed me more than Arizona. And I was not particularly high in either one. I picked them both to go 8-4, by the way. And I wonder how they're going to respond in the future.